I'll give the call to the member for Barton.
Thank you. I acknowledge the Ngunnawal and Ngambri people, and thank you for allowing us to be on your country. As I stand here today, I am deeply reflective and immensely grateful for the journey I have shared with you all in this Parliament. When I first entered this House, I knew I was walking a path that had never before been walked by someone like me, the first Indigenous woman elected to the House of Representatives. Yeah. A path paved with hope, with responsibility and a deep commitment to representing not just my own community of Barton, but all Australians, including, of course, Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people. I am humbled by the trust and the ownership of me shown by First Nations Australians, many of whom are still paying a heavy price for dispossession and exclusion from our nation's foundation, and too often exclusion from the institutions which exist to serve us all. All up, I have been a Member of Parliament for 21 years. It has been the most profound honour to serve and to work towards a more just and inclusive Australia. My commitment has been to serve with fairness, compassion and integrity. I have never seen public service as a way to be liked or popular. Anyone who does will get a rude shock. But I hope to leave having earned respect for the way I have worked and the work that I have done. Yeah. Growing up as a freshwater girl in the Riverina, the daughter of an Aboriginal man and a white woman, raised by my great-aunt Nina and her brother Billy, we didn't have much, just a small wooden house with no carpet or paint inside, no running water and an outhouse up in the back corner of the yard, thankfully. They were two very old people who sacrificed so much to raise me and instilled in me the values of compassion, integrity, resilience, truth and love. I never dreamt I could grow up to be a Member of Parliament, let alone a minister in the federal government. Nina and Billy, I hope I made you proud. Being elected to this place was the greatest honour of my life. From fighting against the unfair and illegal robo-debt scheme during my time as Shadow Minister for Human Services, to securing landmark commitments to remote housing, justice reinvestment and remote jobs, delivering justice to the families affected by the collapse of UPLA, doubling the number of Indigenous rangers, but most importantly, being part of a government that is building new dialysis units in remote Australia and rolling out hundreds of new Indigenous health workers. Amazing new infrastructure, delivering a pipeline of improvements to remote drinking water supplies, as well as better digital connectivity, revitalising First Nation languages and growing opportunities for education, and now, with the leadership of the Prime Minister, economic development. But there is so much more. We've also committed to establishing a National Children's Commissioner for Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander young people and children. These steps forward are a team effort. Ministers stepping up, ministers taking responsibility for delivering for Indigenous people in their portfolio, the whole Labor cabinet doing its bit. This is a profound and an incredibly important improvement, because when I arrived in this place in 2016, it felt like issues affecting Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people had been pushed into a silo, to be dealt with only by the Indigenous Affairs Minister, who, quite frankly, will never have their hands on the levers of employment, health, education and other portfolios. Where the big changes will be made is with you and closing the gap. I've seen the difference a proactive Labor government can make on the ground of communities. I am so proud of our achievements over the last 8 years in this place. Proud to of my 13 years in the New South Wales Parliament of making important reforms to child protection, delivering on the findings of the Wood Special Commission of Inquiry and introducing the Aboriginal Child Placement Principle. There are a few areas in public policy more complex, more fraught and more difficult than child protection. I only had to read the files. I didn't live the horror. And despite the many challenges that remain, I know those changes and the work of people on the front line have saved families and saved lives. When I had the responsibility for the prevention of family violence, New South Wales led the way with the Staying Home, Leaving Violence program, which flipped responsibility for family violence and supported women and children to stay in their homes. A just approach which is now the norm across the country. Before I came into the federal parliament, I said I would miss the close connection state governments have with people's lives. Like the chocks we fitted into windows of flats, there had been a spate of children falling out of windows, which stopped them opening more than a few inches and prevented children falling out. Stronger laws to protect tenants, which I was pleased to lay the groundwork for. And of course, the honour of being elected the Deputy Leader of the New South Wales Labor Party. Before entering State Parliament, I was first a teacher, then I worked in Aboriginal education, heading up the Aboriginal Education Consultative Group and eventually the Director-General of the Aboriginal Affairs Department, where it was an honour to be part of organising the historic Bridge Walk in the year 2000, when over 250,000 Australians marched in solidarity with Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people. My time at the Department of Aboriginal Affairs was the first time, everyone, I truly had to grapple with the policy challenges and cross-portfolio disparity. That became known as closing the gap. But before closing the gap, there was Gail. Gail, who worked on reception at DAA. One Friday afternoon, I heard Gail sum up the human cost of the gap when she answered a call about special benefits allegedly going to Aboriginal people. "I'll tell you what you get," said Gail. "You get diabetes. You get a shorter life expectancy. We get to see our kids drop out of school and go to jail. We get turned away from jobs. We get to go to too many funerals. That's what we get." That caller never rang back. In my first speech to the New South Wales Parliament, I spoke about the importance of walking in someone else's shoes. It is a lesson I took from Harper Lee's To Kill a Mockingbird. So walk in the shoes of the next generation of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander Australians, because more than half of our population is under the age of 25. And despite significant improvements in many areas, First Nations young people still don't start on a level playing field. Our people are more likely to have experienced homelessness than hold an undergraduate degree. And as our Prime Minister has said, in 2020, the number of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people locked up in a prison cell was 4 times as many of those who celebrated graduating uni that year. Walk in those shoes. I also want to share some thoughts on last year's Voice referendum. The referendum did not achieve the outcomes that many of us, all of us, wanted. But I believe it can and will be a catalyst for progress and positive change in our nation, that in the years to come it will be looked on more kindly by history, because constitutional recognition has been championed for decades, many of you here. And the government and parliament finally had the courage to put the question to the people, because of the role it played in inspiring a new generation of young Indigenous leaders to emerge, also some of you here, and push the change for a better future, because it showed that Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people in remote communities overwhelmingly wanted the voice to be heard, and 6.3 million Australians said yes. It highlighted how far we've come and how far we still must go to be a truly reconciled country. I acknowledge the many Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people and fellow travellers who opened their hearts and minds and put their shoulders to the wheel, including people from across the Parliament who I'm looking at now. Thank you all, and particularly thank you, Julian, for your brave stand. Friends, progress doesn't always move in a straight line. The road is rocky. There are obstacles in the path. We have our stumbles and our setbacks. But our overall direction is towards progress. And with each passing generation, we bend the moral arc of the universe closer to justice. I think Australia sometimes struggles with our identity because we never came to terms with our own story, never embraced the breadth and depth of it, certainly not its truth. The generosity we pride ourselves on is rarely extended to the people in this nation who have occupied these lands for countless generations. Why? Part of the answer is that we don't have a shared narrative. If you consider our nation's story like the strata of a rock, there is the extraordinary foundation of First Nations people, the layer of European settlers, and of course many convicts amongst those numbers. Then there's a layer upon layer of people who settled in Australia because of conflict and the search for a better life. Many of you are children of those people. All of us, we live in that cross-section, all of it, and all of us. What a story. It takes the whole, you take the whole, not just the bits that suit you. I believe that community-led truth-telling can help with that. There is nothing to fear or lose from the truth. I am heartened by the Prime Minister's ongoing commitment to addressing the challenges facing First Peoples, particularly on closing the gap. Heartened to see my friend Senator Malanduri McCarthy become the new minister and hit the ground running. Yeah. The baton has been passed on. Yeah. I also make these points about Indigenous affairs. Having a roof over your head and a job are vitally important. It's why we are investing $4 billion in remote housing in the Northern Territory and overhauling the failed CDP program, replacing it with real jobs and real wages in remote communities. But important too is having pride in your culture, identity and language. So too is a sense of belonging. So too is knowing the true history of our country. We don't have to choose between so-called practical and symbolic reconciliation. It's a false choice. It's a phony argument. The notion that somehow governments and Indigenous communities must choose between so-called practical and symbolic reconciliation is an old and tired debate that belongs in the 1990s, not the 2020s. It is now up to everyone here, and I know you will, I really do, and in the other place, to ensure that reconciliation and closing the gap are policy areas of bipartisan cooperation, of common ground, not division. In 2000, following the Walk for Reconciliation across the Sydney Harbour Bridge and the dozens of events, I know many of you are involved, like it across the country, a historic moment on the journey to the apology some years later. Michelle Grattan asked me for my thoughts on reconciliation, and I said, healing in Australia is a profound, long-term, incremental thing. It's about people. It's a tough road, but I think we will get there. Everyone, 24 years later, I still believe that. Let us remember this is about people. Let us remember what those increments are. A secure home for a family, a new job, clean water for a community, a place at uni for a student, life-changing steps forward. I have a few people to thank. To the Prime Minister, you have always been my friend and mentor, always by my side and on my side. To my Labor colleagues, thank you for your unwavering support. Politics has not been a lonely place for me because of you. You have been a source of strength that when I have needed it the most. To the leaders under which I have had the honour of serving, prior to the Prime Minister, of course, to Bill Shorten, Bob Carr, Maurice Yemmer, Nathan Rees and Christina Keneally, I thank you all. Can I also thank my dear friends that are here? You have kept me standing when I couldn't stand on my own. You mean the world to me, and thank you for travelling all the distances that you've had. To the First Nations members of Caucus, and I include one Patrick Dodson in that, can I thank Gordon, can I thank Marion, can I thank Malandiri and Jana for your camaraderie and for being there. To my family, Wiradjuri and her partner Elle, you will be seeing a lot more of me in the next few months. Thank you for being the remarkable people that you are. You inspire me. To those at the NIAA who work in the Parliament, including the media, and the public service more generally, the public service is a noble profession, and you deserve far more recognition for what you do. And to all my staff in the electorate and the ministerial office over the years, thank you. You are the true stars. To Tim Watts and Maria Paston in particular, I recognise your service and your leadership. What we have been able to achieve has been multiplied through your efforts. To those watching online, thank you. And to the branch members, volunteers and the New South Wales Labor, it is you who carry our movement. You are the engine of progress and fairness in this country. Through you, Mr Speaker, and we started on the same day and look where we are now. To the amazing constituents, to you, Mr Speaker, I recognise and thank everyone in this Parliament, and I would do that through you. And finally, to the amazing constituents of Barton and Canterbury, thank you for giving me the opportunity of a lifetime. Working in this house of democracy is a great honour, a place of rigorous debate, a place where the contest of ideas plays out. But it should not be a place for punching down. It should not be a place where minority groups are demonised. Reasonable people can disagree, and our democracy will be better if we can disagree agreeably. As I prepare to move on to the next chapter of my life, where's those tissues, Joe? I do so with a heart filled with hope. Both my first speech in the New South Wales and my first speech in this place contained the same two promises. First, that I will always work hard, and secondly, that I always do my best. And I think I've kept those commitments. Yeah. My life has been both harsh and kind. I have known loss I would never wish on anyone, but I have never ever lost hope. While there are those who believe that political success depends on discarding your humanity or locking it away, I say to all of you who follow me and my friends and colleagues who carry on the fight, never lose your faith in others. Never lose your trust in the people who brought you here. 21 years, 10 years in government, 11 years on the crossbenchers, in opposition. That might have been better. And let me tell you, you can do more in one day in government than you can do in a whole term in opposition. So don't waste the day. Big change is still possible in this country. Do not waste a day. As I finished my speech today, can I take you back 8 years? Lynette Riley sang me into this house. Today, as I close this chapter on my life, her daughter Gara will sing me out. I will then make a statement in Wiradjuri, so please remain in your seats, as they say on the plane, and thank you, Gara.
I see you, we see you, the elders see you, for all that you have done and all that you will do. Manangu.
Thank you, Gara. In conclusion, I say in Wiradjuri these words: I am proud to be Wiradjuri. This has been a great journey. Thank you. It's been an honour. We will make progress when we all work together. We have a strong and bright future. Dirobade inya, budu Wiradjuri, murambuo barang, mandang arong, guwul gyungabang ilju, ninbul anya, gu wilanya, gan ambaru mia, good yugong, maramana, ne ing gong. See you all later.